We all know the name Marie Curie, right? A true giant of science, a double Nobel laureate. But the story of her first Nobel Prize, well, it's not just about scientific genius. It's a story of some pretty blatant prejudice, a secret letter, and a fight that almost wrote her out of her own discovery.
So let's go back to the turn of the 20th century. Paris is absolutely buzzing with this new scientific marvel, and the word on everyone's lips is radioactivity, a word Marie Curie actually came up with herself. But this wasn't the scary word we think of today. Back then, it was pure magic, this thrilling mystery that had everyone captivated.
And this excitement, it just exploded out of the labs and turned into a full-blown radium craze. I mean, you could go out and dance the radium waltz, you could watch performers in glowing phosphorescent dresses, you could even pop into a department store and buy a little device to go hunt for radium yourself. The stuff was suddenly everywhere, advertised in everything from cigarettes to cheese. Yeah, cheese.
But you know, behind this glowing, almost fairy tale-like public fantasy, the reality was a lot grimmer. Marie Curie wasn't at some fancy cabaret. She was in this leaky, drafty shed, doing what she called her killing work. I mean, processing tons of raw ore by hand, just to isolate a few tiny grams of this incredible new element.
So this backbreaking, world-changing work, it was obviously deserving of the biggest prize in science, a Nobel Prize. But the road to that prize was about to expose a prejudice so deep, it almost erased Marie Curie from her own incredible discovery. Please remember to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell, share and like our videos. The information in the video is compiled from open sources. Thank you.
Okay, so it's 1903. The French Academy of Sciences puts forward its nominations for the Nobel Prize in Physics. The names on that list? Henri Becquerel and Pierre Curie. Do you notice someone missing from that list? Yeah, Marie Curie, the woman who literally coined the term radioactivity, the one who discovered two new elements, was completely, and it turns out intentionally, left out.
And look, this was no simple oversight. The prize was meant to honor their joint researches. The committee knew it was joint work, but they deliberately chose to honor only the men. Marie's foundational work was about to be officially ignored, making her a footnote in her own story.
But thankfully, the story doesn't end there. History was about to take a sharp turn, all thanks to the integrity of two people. One, a man on the inside of the Nobel Committee, and the other, a man who refused to accept an honor that was based on a lie. So, a Swedish mathematician on the committee, a guy named Magnus Gostemittag-Leffler, was a huge advocate for women in science, and when he saw this injustice playing out, he just couldn't stand by and do nothing. In a move that could have gotten him in a lot of trouble, he secretly wrote a letter to Pierre Curie, letting him know that his wife was about to be completely snubbed.
Pierre's response was just perfect. He wrote back immediately, and he was firm. He insisted that he be considered together with his wife, spelling out her crucial role in the research. And then he added this beautiful, powerful line. Wouldn't it be more artistically pleasing to honor them as the true partners they really were?
You have to understand, this wasn't just a husband sticking up for his wife. This was a scientist defending the truth. Pierre made it absolutely clear. Any prize that didn't recognize Marie's central role would be a complete travesty. He was willing to turn down the world's highest honor if she wasn't included.
So thanks to that secret alert and Pierre's incredible stand, the committee caved, they pulled some strings, found a prior nomination for Marie, and she was added to the ticket. So they won. But the nature of that victory, well, it was complicated.
In the end, the prize was split three ways. Henri Becquerel got half, and the other half was shared between Pierre and Marie Curie. And just like that, with that decision, Marie Curie officially became the first woman in history to win a Nobel Prize. A huge moment.
But true to form, did the Curies pop the champagne and hop on a train to Stockholm? Nope. They were too busy, too dedicated to their lab work, and honestly, they were both pretty sick from all the radiation exposure. Pierre especially just hated all the publicity. They actually skipped the big ceremony entirely, only making the trip to give their lecture a year and a half later.
But even in victory, you can see the prejudice. At the official ceremony they missed, the president of the Swedish Academy gets up to give his speech and quotes the Bible. He framed Marie not as an equal partner, not as a brilliant scientist in her own right, but as a helpmeet, basically an assistant created for her husband.
And that wasn't just some throwaway comment. It was a really grudging, dismissive remark that reflected what so many people thought, that she was just the assistant to her brilliant husband. It was this myth that she would have to spend the rest of her life fighting against.
And you know what fight she did? That whole struggle over the first Nobel seemed to light a fire under her. In the years that followed, she just systematically dismantled that Helpmeet myth and built a legacy that was, without a doubt, entirely her own. I mean, just look at her trajectory after that first prize. After Pierre's tragic death, she took over his position, becoming the first female professor at the Sorbonne. And then, in 1911, she did something no one had ever done before. She won a second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, and this time all by herself, the first person in history to win two.
Her absolute integrity, her focus on the science and not the fame, it earned her this deep, deep respect from her peers. Albert Einstein himself said that she was probably the only person whom fame could not corrupt. She was all about the work, the discovery, above everything else.
And that brings us to a final question. Marie Curie's story got a course correction, all thanks to a secret letter and a partner with incredible integrity. But it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Without those two things, would we even know her name the way we do today? It just leaves you with this thought. How many other brilliant minds have been written out of history simply because they didn't have someone in their corner fighting for them?